guys, welcome to the podcast Game On Industry Insights. I'm your host Violet and I'm here with my guest
Tracy. Hi, I'm Tracy Johnson. I'm the Managing Director of VStars Ltd. We are a VR development company based in Cheshire.
Well, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Got some questions here for you.
Okay.
So, can you tell us about your journey into VR development and what drew you into this field?
Yeah, I started developing games back in the 90s. Started on PC CD-ROM, which is probably ancient news to most people now, then into consoles. And VR was something that was still suited an independent developer. So what happened in the noughties, the big guys, the IDOSs and the EAs, just basically absorbed the industry. And as an independent developer, it was very difficult to make a mark in consoles. So it was a strategic decision to move into VR about sort of 7 or 8 years ago. So yeah, that's why we did it really, to sort of give us a chance to sort of make a difference in a very, very competitive market.
Yeah. What was your first VR project that you worked on?
The first VR project that we worked on before the game was we had an idea to create some virtual pop stars. So you would create an image, you'd create a model, a personality, and you'd make some music for them and they would get up on stage. And but that particular model was free to user, so commercially it was always going to be challenging. So we dumped that quite quickly. That lasted about 3 months until we ran out of money, and then we went to the next thing. We realised that a game was a little bit more tangible in terms of its commercial viability.
And what would you say you learned from that?
Charge money if you can. There's a lot of free models out there but you need very, very deep pockets to have a free model. So that was the number one lesson. And also keep it simple, like in life, whatever you do with a project, don't make it too complicated to start with. Just have, reasonable ambitions and aspirations as to what you want to do with the game. Yeah.
And what are some of the biggest technical challenges unique to VR development?
The biggest technical challenge is the changing, you have to be supported. So, for example, we build our game on Unity. Unity's been updated all the time, and the peripherals that we use and the plugins and all that kind of thing, it's not as synchronized as the games industry. So that's something we constantly have to be aware of. We're currently operating on Unity 2022. That's the optimum one to get what we need done. 2023, 2024, it's too risky, it's too buggy. So we are kind of reliant. So that's kind of synchronizing and optimizing all the technologies is definitely the biggest challenge. Yeah. Apart from the commercial, that's sort of the technical challenge. Yeah.
So in the future, do you see that changing or anytime soon, or is it always going to sort of be a problem with VR game with the technical problems?
I think it will become more standardized as time goes along. We develop mainly for the Oculus headset, but we've got some development kit now for Pico, which is a Chinese headset owned by ByteDance, who own TikTok. So you can see there's kind of this emerging world of there's the USA and there's China. They are competing now, although the Pico is a lot smaller. They do seem to have the technological side kind of wrapped up a bit better. They're a lot more supportive, for example. So yeah, I think it will definitely get better and it'll become more standardised over the next 5 to 10 years for sure. Yeah.
How do you stay current with the rapidly evolving VR hardware and software landscape?
You just have to buy the new kit when it comes out. It's led by the manufacturers. They decide when their new kit is coming out. We follow suit, and you have to keep your eye on your community, your consumer, because, for example, we had this problem with when the Quest 2 came out. It was quite ubiquitous globally, and then suddenly we were designing features that would work really well on the Quest 3 but wouldn't work on the Quest 2. So you have to manage really your community, because you don't want to leave people behind who can't afford to upgrade. So we still haven't had to go down the avenue of making 2 separate builds, but that might come in time. Mm-hmm. But at the moment the Quest 3 is the sort of standard format now, so it's a balancing act. Yeah. It's a fine balance.
I can imagine that's a lot of money going into it as well.
A lot of money, yeah. It's all about resources. Yeah. So yeah, it's every time a new headset comes out. I mean, for example, we haven't touched the Apple one because it's $3,000 at the time. It's just too expensive. Yeah. So yeah, we keep our eye there. Every month we have a review meeting where we look at all the new headsets, all the new technologies, and we have to keep abreast of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are there any emerging technologies you're particularly excited about?
I haven't got time to think about anything else but VR at the moment. But I think we were talking about AI earlier on. AI hasn't really hit the VR market as yet, but I think we can see situations where we'd like to develop some of our avatars using AI to sort of develop the personalities, because AI technology for example, being able to create an avatar that could have a conversation with someone, that's exciting for us. And we can kind of, instead of the avatar just being something that's pre-programmed, it could think a little bit for itself. But that's down the line, I think, a little bit. Yeah.
What about like eye tracking or haptics and hand tracking?
Eye tracking and hand tracking, funnily enough, the Pico headset has got leg trackers. Mm-hmm. The Oculus headset hasn't at the moment, so that's something that we are looking at. And it's about standardising formats again. If you make a game with leg track that uses leg trackers, you have to immerse yourself totally in that, and then you may be excluding people who haven't got those. So it's all about, I keep using the word balance, but it is balancing your market and your community with the technology and trying to find a happy medium somewhere in the middle.
Have you ever made major changes to a game based on player feedback?
Every week. Reviews are incredibly important, and we are forensic about the reviews, and every day we check the reviews, and most of the time people are saying the same thing, which is great for us, because if 5 people or 10 people or 100 people say you need to do this, then we know this is what we need to do. So it does tend to be, you do micromanage the development of your game in line with what people are saying, because ultimately you are working directly for your customer in this business. So
I can imagine that's more so than average game development, especially with VR, where it can make you motion sick if there's too much going on.
Well, I'll give you an example of that. Motion sickness occurred. The worst cause of motion sickness is when you move around. So instead of moving around constantly, we do it in stages. So you do kind of 15 degrees at a time, and that tends to stop the motion sickness. So we're constantly aware of that. Although people in the VR marketplace have already kind of probably made that decision that they don't get motion sickness. So they're kind of, it's not such a major problem for us. It's more features that we have to listen to them about.
What would you say like the biggest change you've ever had to make was based on it? Tutorials, because when you make a game, you know it inside out, and you take for granted that everyone out there knows how to do it. So hand-holding people, saying, look, this is how you start the game, this is how you press the play button. I mean, really, we take it to a very basic level, because you're not going to offend anyone by doing that, but you're going to make sure that everyone has accessibility. Covering all your bases, as you say.
The other thing we did as well, we've done, the great thing about VR is it's accessible in terms of people's ability. Any disability issues tend to be, if you've got a headset on, you can do it sitting down, standing up. So that's great from that point of view. It's very accessible. We've also made it so you can just have it with one hand, left hand or right hand. That's an option in our. So we've always got an eye on our market, and we want to include as many people as possible in that.
Where do you see VR gaming heading in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think it will grow steadily, as it has been doing. I think the headsets will become smaller, and I think they may even opt for some kind of hub where if a household has several headsets, maybe you'll be able to buy a hub that does all the processing, and everyone has much smaller headsets that link to a hub, a bit like a router, a Wi-Fi router, so you don't have to carry all the tech in a headset, which basically lives on your head. So I think that could be a move forward. Do
you think that'll help open the market up to more people as well, who might not want to, as you say, have a big headset on their head all the time?
Absolutely. We carry our phones around all the time because they're easy. I've got a watch or a phone. It's very easy to transport them around. People aren't going to walk around all day long with a headset. Well, certainly not in the next few decades. Who knows in the future? But I think that's the point. If someone's actually investing in putting a headset on, they are quite bulky. They're quite uncomfortable, really. And after you've been wearing one for an hour, so it's something you're not going to have with you all day. So we have to be aware of that. And as the headsets get smaller, it will improve I think that will help the kind of the propagation of the technology.
What advice would you give to students who want to break into the VR development?
I think nowadays programming languages have become so diverse. If you go back even 2 or 3 decades, if you knew a particular language, you could probably get any programming job anywhere. Now it's much more specific. very, very diversified, whether you're working for a web developer or you're working for a VR company or a games company on consoles. The language sets are usually quite different. So my number one bit of advice is get some work experience, because if you get in with a company and do some work experience with them, you can make yourself invaluable to them then, and that's the best way to get a job, without a doubt.
So going through work experience.
Work experience, yeah. Okay. Unless, obviously, what normally happens is you give people work experience, they get really good at what you do, and then they go and work for one of your competitors for more money, which that happens a lot. There's a lot of, because once they are fully trained, they are valuable assets.
Yeah. So what have you been working on with the college?
So our game, it's called Dance Dance Dance, is a dance game, and we have a dance instructor that shows you how to do the moves. So we've been doing all of the motion capture, recording all the motion capture data here at the college in the facility. It basically creates a thing called an FBX file, which some techies out there will know what that is, and that means we can drop that file onto our rig, and that creates the animation. So it's not a simple process, it's quite a complex process, but with the help of the college, we've been able to refine that and create a very smooth pipeline.
Oh, nice, yeah. How are the mocap facilities at the college?
Absolutely amazing, yeah. State of the art, the best technology. It's been fantastic to work with, yeah.
I think I've spent some time in the mocap room as well, and it's a very, very nice area.
It's an amazing thing, and the Chris, who heads the department there, is very experienced in that. So his input has been invaluable to us and to the students who've been involved in it as well. He's been passing on his advice to them. So it's been a great experience for everyone, I think.
That's great. And are the students making a difference?
Huge difference. Well, for a start, the dance students are making a huge difference because they can dance, as opposed to the rest of us who can't. And the couple of the guys who concentrate more on the technical side as well. So yeah, and you get, I don't want to be sort of ageist or youngist here, but young people have an inbuilt kind of enthusiasm and an energy about them that everyone around picks up on. So when you've got people of that age group working with you, the energy is kind of quite effusive, and it kind of passes on to everyone. So yeah, it's been great. Yeah,
it's been great.
Especially for old gits like me. Probably have to edit that one out, won't you?
Alright, thank you guys for watching. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Answering all the questions. Check the socials, that'll be in the description, all the links, and we'll see you next time.
For this week's showcase, we have some videos created by third year students presenting the development of their survival game projects.